Hey, horror fans, once again, it's the Horror Miser, Mani G, and today we're going to continue my Saw series as we go for Saw 5, because if it's Halloween, it must be Saw. Now, Saw 5 came out in 2008. This one was directed by David Hackle? Yeah, David Hackle. This one was not directed by Brunson. I believe he did not direct this film, and this was written by Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan. Once again, it stars Tobin Bell and Costas Mandalay, Scott Peterson, Betsy Russell, and Mark Rolson and Julie Bentz. And actually, Megan Good is in this one too. This is, of course, the fifth installment of the Saw franchise, and it was released once again right around Halloween, October 24th in North America. Now, David Hackle served as production designer on Saw 2, 3, and 4, and was the second unit director on Saw 3 and Saw 4. Saw 3 and Saw 5, he made his directorial debut with this movie. Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan are the writers of the previous film and returned to write this film. Charlie Carlson, who provided the score for all the previous Saws of the film, returned to compose the score from the film. Guy did a good job in creating that fantastic score, especially when we hear it at the end. Saw creators James Wan and Lee Wennell served as executive producers of the film. Now, this film focuses on the events that led Detective Mark Hoffman to becoming the apprentice of Jigsaw. And of course, of his efforts to hide the fact that he is Jigsaw's apprentice. As we learned in Saw 3 and Saw 4, that those events took place at the same time. And at the end, we find out that Detective Mark Hoffman is the new apprentice. We didn't know who it was, because we knew that both John Kramer, a.k.a. Jigsaw, and Amanda are both dead. So we learn at the end of Saw 4 that he is now Jigsaw's apprentice. And that's where we lead off at, and we're about to get ready to talk about what's going to happen, what happened, and what happens in Saw 5. Now we begin with a convicted murderer named Seth Baker. He winds up chained to a table with a plentium, swinging back and forth. The video informs him that the only way that he can free himself, he has to crush his hands. And when the tape plays, this is what Jigsaw says to him. "Hello, Seth. I want to play a game. Right now you're feeling helpless. This is the same helplessness you bestowed upon others. But now, onto you. Some call it karma. I call it justice. Now, you served 5 years of what you should have been a life sentence for murder. Technicality that gave you freedom, but it inhibited you from understanding the impact of taking a life. Today, I offer you freedom. True freedom. In 30 seconds, the pendulum will drop far enough to touch your body. Within 60 seconds, it will cut you in half. To avoid the pendulum, all you have to do is destroy the things that have killed your hands. All you have to do is destroy the things you have killed your hands. You must insert your hands and push the buttons to start devices before you. Your bones will be crushed to dust. Will you destroy the things that have taken in order to save one? Seth, make your choice. Live or die." Now, Seth does what he can. He actually puts his hands in the things, and he presses on the buttons to crush his hands. But unfortunately, that doesn't stop the pendulum from swinging. It swings back and forth, until it slices his gut, and he's cut in half. And he obviously bleeds to death. Very gruesome scene, too. Very, very gory scene to start Saw 5. And we also, the camera pans over to the left, if I remember correctly, and we see someone's looking at him. We don't know who it is yet, but we'll find out soon enough. We go back to present day, and we see FBI agent Stram. He guns down Jeff Denton from Saw 3 in the sick room. He discovers a hidden room in the microset recorder, which urges him to stay in the sick room. But he ignores it, and is attacked in the tunnel by a pig-masked figure. He wakes up and his head is sealed in a box which quickly fills with water, and he survives by performing a tracheotomy on with his pen. Outside, Detective Hoffman discovers that Corbett Denton delivers Corbett Dalton to the police and claims they're the only survivors. That's Charles Denton's daughter. But he's shocked when Stram is brought out alive and well, knowing that he knows, or he thinks he suspects, that Stram knows that he's Jigsaw's apprentice. Now, as we get back to Detective Strand, he plays the tape, and this is what Jigsaw tells him. Hello, Agent Stram. If you're hearing this, you have finally found what you've been looking for. But the discovery of my body is enough, or will your insatiable hunger to uncover the truth push you deeper over the abyss? Heed my warnings. Do not perceive, for this room can be your sanctuary or it can be your grave. The choice is yours. Like I said, he left the room and he gets attacked by the pig face mask, and he gets put in that box full of water. But like I said, he does a tracheotomy on his throat, which allows him to breathe, so he doesn't drown to death. And like I said, he is rescued. Obviously, that Detective Hallman finds out that he thought that he and Jeff Denton's daughter were only survivors, but when he finds out Stram is there, he says, "Uh-oh." He thinks that Stram knows that he's Jigsaw's apprentice, and he will go out of his way to make sure to protect his identity. Hoffman is considered a hero during a press conference, and he's promoted to detective lieutenant and credited with solving the Jigsaw case. Unfortunately, he finds a note in his office that reads, "I know who you are," and learns of Lindsay Perez's death while taking Strand's phone. At the hospital, Strand tells Hoffman that Perez's last words were his name and questions how he escaped the plant. Strand is also visited by his boss, Dan Nickerson, and he puts him on medical leave. Suspicious of Hoffman, and Strand becomes obsessed of putting the pieces together and to prove that Hoffman is, in fact, the new Jigsaw apprentice. Now, this is where Saw 5 gets interesting, because the next scene, we see 5 people with collars connected to their mounted blades locked in a room around their necks. The keys, which are in glass boxes across the room. Now, eventually, this is the focal point of Saw 5. You have this room where these people have to take a test, and this is what Jigsaw tells them when the tape is played. Hello and welcome. From birth, you're all given advantages of few others. Yet, through poor moral decisions, you have used these advantages to selflessly further yourselves at the expense of others. Well, today, this singular way of thinking will be put to the test. Today, 5 will become one with the common goal of survival. You are all connected. The cable runs through your collar devices. It can be pulled so tight that you'll be decapitated on the mounted razors. The only way to remove the collar is with the keys from the glasses of boxes on the pedestals before you. However, if one of you moves to retrieve the key, the 60-second timer will begin for you all. In closing, in choosing how you react to the situation, your lifelong instincts will tell you to do one thing, but I implore you to do the opposite. Let the games begin. Now, there are 5 people in this room. Their names are Ashley, Charles, Luba, Gibbs, Malik, and Britt. And somehow they are all connected in some way. We don't know at this time what they're all connected to, but they're all connected in some way. So, like I said, they have collars around their neck and the keys to which the glass boxes are across the room. Now, of course, the videotape claims that all 5 are connected and implores them to do the opposite of what their instincts throughout the game. Now, Malik, he's an arsonist, activates the timer and everyone reaches for their keys except for Ashley, a former fire inspector, who unfortunately is decapitated once the collars retract. So she's gone. She's dead. Again, obviously they're not paying attention to the rules, and we will learn later on what those rules were. But now we go on to room 2. So now in room 2, we see that Like in the next room, we learn that there are overhead jars that contain keys to 3 bomb shelters. Now, Charles, investigative journalist, strikes Malex and begins to smash the jars one by one. Britt, a real estate vice president, and Luba, a city planner, each find the keys, and Charles takes Malex only to be struck by Luba and left to die when the bomb detonates. Basically, each room has a timer on it, and if they don't get out of the room in time, there are nail bombs, which the bombs explode, and unfortunately, all that shrapnel will be rip your body into shreds. Now, when they get to this room, they'll get to play another tape, and this is what Jigsaw tells them. Hello, and welcome to the next lesson. These walls have 4 chambers. These chambers offer safety. However, to access them, a key is needed, but only 3 keys will fit the locks. These keys are in the glass jars hanging above the ceiling. Move quickly, though, because when the clock ticks down, the explosive in the corner of the rooms will detonate. With only 3 points of safety, which one of you will be the odd man out? Make your choice. So, unfortunately, they did not allow Charles, the investigative journalist, to get into one of the safe rooms, and he dies when the nail bombs explode. So he's gone. Now, in the third room, there are 5 short cables that must be connected to a full bathtub in order to lock the room. Now, Luba attacks Malik to use his body to close the circuits, but Britt stabs her. Britt stabs her, and they use her body instead. So basically, what they do is they basically take all 4 parts of her body, they put her in the tub. They connect all 4 points of the body in order to get the full circuit, and they eventually get it out of that room. Now, of course, there's another tape to be played, and this is what Jigsaw tells them in the third tape. Hello, welcome. You all must be eager to learn the next important lesson in your transformation. The game before you is designed to bridge the gap between you. In order to open 5 locks in the door of this room, 5 electrical circuits powering them must be closed. The only way to do this is to find a way to connect all 5 cords in the bath water. Close the circuits and the door will open, but you must move quickly, for in 3 minutes, an electrical current will surge through this room, locking the door forever. Who will bridge the gap? The choice is yours. Now, of course, they think that they can't do that because they'll fry, because, hey, who wants to be charged with full electrical current? So Britt decided to stab Luba in her neck because she didn't like her, or she said she didn't trust her. So they literally dumped Luba's body in the bathtub full of water. She becomes the main circuit, and her body twists and turns while the current is flowing through. And Malik and Britt, they take some of the brunt of the whatchamacallit, but they open the door enough at time, and then they get ready to go into the last and final room. Now, while all this is going on, Stram learns that Baxter was a guy from from the cold opening, killed Hoffman's sister and was released from prison on a technicality. As revenge, Hoffman later abducted and killed Baxter using a pendulum trip to frame Jigsaw. Because if you notice, there was no way he was getting out of the trap, no matter what he did. Even if he didn't stick his fingers in those pulleys or not, he was going to die. And that was Hoffman looking at him, and he was basically going to frame Jigsaw for the murder. But of course, we all know that's not Jigsaw's MO. When John Kramer found out what happened, he abducted Hoffman, and he blackmailed Hoffman into working for him. So he's doing this not under duress, but he knows that John set him up. They basically find out later on that they set up most of the games together with Hoffman, planning Gordon's penlight, and because this is where a lot of the stuff ties in from the remaining part of the sauce. Hoffman actually planted Lawrence Gordon's penlight, providing the police the files with the nerve gas house victims, and also providing the police files for the nerve gas victims' house. So he basically was part of setting up Lawrence Gordon in Saw 1 and the nerve gas in Saw 2. Strand realizes that at the end, everyone is meant to die in the plant except for Colbert and Hoffman, and he becomes the hero. So basically, that's what Hoffman did. Everyone's supposed to die in Saw 3, and the only one that comes out will be Hoffman and Corbett. So everyone's supposed to die. Hoffman becomes a hero, and his links to Jigsaw will all be cleared up, but he did not think that Strand was going to still be alive. Now his boss Erickson becomes worried, which is further fueled when Jigsaw's ex-wife or widow, Jill Tuck, received a letter and a box and a videotape from John Kramer's will. Because we see also early in the film that she gets this huge box, and there's a key inside. We don't know what this box is, but we see that, and she has a key to it. That's what John left her for his will, and we don't know what that means. Next thing you know, she approaches Erickson and claims that Stram is stalking her. After Hoffman calls Erickson to tell him about Stram's theory about a second accomplice, Erickson puts a tracker on Strand's phone. So basically, he's trying to frame up that Stram is the Jigsaw apprentice. Very clever. Meanwhile, back with our last two contestants, the last two are left. The last room, we see 5 short cables. Sorry about that, wrong one. In the fourth room, we find a machine that's filled with circular saws in the beaker, requiring 10 pints of blood to open the door. We also find out that what the whole point of this test was supposed to be. They were all supposed to work together, and they were not supposed to use their instincts to survive from home. They were supposed to all work together, and we find out that if they would have worked together, all the keys they would have found out that the one key in the first room would have opened up all the locks. They would have found out that there was enough room for everyone to fit in the 3 whatchamacallit. It would have been 2, 2, and 1. In the second room, in the third room, they would have found out that everyone had to simply put themselves together and get a mild shock, and it would have opened the door. And in this third room, there were 5 slots in there, and anybody could have easily just would have put their hands in there. They would have had at least 1 pint each. Had to give up 1 pint of blood each. Would have got the necessary pints of blood to open the door. But unfortunately, they did not follow the rules, and now we're left with these 2 people, and they have to get 10 pints of blood in order for the doors open. So fortunately, they stick their hands into the whatchamacallit, and a very gruesome scene where they finally do get the doors open, but their arms are mangled. I think Britt's arm is completely cut off. Malik's hand, he's completely fit off as well. Now, Jigsaw tells him this in the final tape. Hello and welcome. This journey has been one of discovery, and hopefully you discovered the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. The human body, for instance, is a stunningly durable creation. It contains approximately 10 pints of blood, yet it is still able to operate just on half of that. The device before you is one of sacrifice, a sacrifice of blood. In order to open the door, the beaker must be filled to the marked level. The level has no consequence. This amount can come from any one of you, but it does not matter. What does matter is time. 4 and 15 minutes. If the beaker is not filled, the bombs will explode, and the doors will be sealed forever. So now I will ask you, how much blood will you give in order to survive? We also find out that what they all have in common. Basically, Malik is an arsonist. He was the one that set the fire to the building that caused several people to die. We found out that Britt was the one that, just give me a second here. We find that Britt works out their connection. They were all involved in a building that killed 8 people. Yeah, so basically they all found out. You have the investigative journal. We found that Luba was a city planner. She was the one that took bribes in order for the city planners to get the whatchamacallit. Britt was the, I think she was the she was the VP of the real estate company that gave her the bribes. Charles was the investigative reporter. Ashley was a city arsonist. She was a city arsonist. So that's what they all had in common. All their actions led to the arson that led to the death of 5 people, and that's where they got picked to do this test to see if they cannot put their greed aside and put their own personal selfishness aside, and see if they could all work together and they could survive. But unfortunately, they did not follow. They did not follow the rules. They followed their instincts. They all want to survive themselves, and that's why three die during this, and then we have left just Malik and Britt. And like I said, they did get themselves together, and but look how much they had to sacrifice in order to get 10 pints of blood. Now, Erickson, he follows the tracker to the observation room and finds the phone and his own personal file planted there by Hoffman, thinking once again that this is Stram doing it, not Hoffman. Now, of course, he finds Britt, who is, like I said, who is mangled from the claw to the fourth room after Malik passed out from blood loss. Erickson calls for medical attention for the victims and puts on an all points bullet battle on Stram. Stram follows Hoffman to the renovated nerve gas house once again, and finds an underground room containing a clear broken glass. Now, this is where things get crazy for Stram. He finds a video cassette, and this is what the tape plays. Hello, Agent Stram. If you're hearing this, you have once again found what you're looking for, or so you think. Your dedication is to be commended. But I ask you, what if you learned anything in your journey to discovery? As the old adage says, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. The situation you find yourself in is that of trust. So I ask you, Special Agent Stram, what have you learned to trust me? Have you learned to trust me? The only way to survive this room is by entering the glass box before you. Pain will be incurred, but if you have any chance of survival. While this is going on, Stram hears Hoffman and stops the tape. However, if you choose not to, you will never be hurt again. Your body will never be found. You may simply vanish. I ask you, Special Agent Stram, have you learned enough to trust me? Will you heed my warning? If you will not, this room will be your tomb, and my legacy will become yours. Make your choice. So, after a brief struggle, he seals Hoffman into the box, which unfortunately seals the room's exit. Hoffman indicated on the tape, which warned Stram that if he does not enter the box, he will disappear and inherit the Jigsaw legacy. The box, unfortunately, is safely lowered as the walls close in on Stram, who unsuccessfully escapes into the ceiling grid and is crushed to death. So unfortunately, he did not pay attention. He should have actually just entered the box just like he should have done, but unfortunately, he was so hell-bent on getting Hoffman that he didn't pay attention to what the tape was saying, and so unfortunately, he gets crushed to death, and that's the end of Stram, and he's dead too, and that's how the movie ends. Hoffman survives his brief scare of Hoffman, and obviously, with all the evidence planted, we all believe that everyone will believe that it was Stram who was Jigsaw apprentice and not Hoffman. When I first watched Saw 5, I was a little in the middle of this. Traps are very good. A lot of people had mixed reviews about it. Some liked it, some didn't. I was kind of in the middle of it at first, but now since I watched it several times, I actually do like this film. It's not as good as Saw 2. It's not as good as Saw 1. Though I do believe it's better than 4 and 3. Because when you look at what Jigsaw was trying to do with these 5 people, he was trying to teach them a very important lesson. Instead of just following your instincts and not look out for yourself, you should work together as one, and you'll survive. And if those people would have actually not followed their instincts, just like he said in the tape, and worked as one, they all would have survived. But unfortunately, 3 people died, 2 people have mangled hands. And poor Stram, he was so hell-bent on trying to prove that Hoffman was Jigsaw's apprentice, which was true, he did not, again, pay attention to the rules that he laid before him, and now he's dead. So now Hoffman is safe. So that's really what I believe Saw 5 was. It was okay. It was a pretty good film. Had some nice traps. We see how Hoffman became Jigsaw apprentice. We see more of Jill, but we don't know about that box. But that box will come into play soon. And that video cassette will also come into play soon as well. So, horror fans, what did you think of Saw 5? Did you like it? Do you think this was pretty good? Or did you think this was one of the worst of the Saw franchises? Make your comments below in the comment section and tell me about it. Have you seen it? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Do you get the interpretation I got of it, or did you get something totally different? Make your comments in the comment section and let me know. We'll talk about it. Okay, that's it for my Saw 5. Hope you guys really enjoy it. Oh, yeah, once again, please remember that I will be doing a Q&A for my celebration for getting over 100 subs. I'll be doing the Q&A, so if you have not asked me any questions, please place your questions in the comment section below. Again, you can ask me any questions, whether it's horror related or non-horror related. And again, nothing nasty. And we'll still like to have this fit for advertisement. I want to be advertisement friendly. So nothing really nasty. So once again, if you haven't asked me any questions, put your comments in the comment section below. Well, that's my video today. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you did like this video, please hit that thumbs up button. And this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell, so that way you become part of the horror experience with me, the Horror Miser Monty G. Once again, all my social media links will be in the description below. I am on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G. And always remember, horror rules.